Debut Spotlight. My name is Denny S Bryce. I am the author of the upcoming Wild Women in the Blues. But today, our talented debut author and guest is Denise Williams, and she's here to talk about how to fail at flirting, which is the best title going these days. So go ahead, Denise. Tell us about
Well,
your book, and congratulations.
thank you. I'm so excited. And we're going to come back to your book because I'm really excited to talk about it because I see it everywhere. So peek over my book here.
Yes.
But I am Denise Williams, she, her pronouns, and How to Fail at Flirting is my debut novel, which will be out December 1, out today, out this week, out this year, out in my lifetime, which is still so very exciting. And How to Fail at Flirting is about Dr. Nia Turner, who is a professor and is on the other side of an abusive relationship, a few years out of that, but definitely still healing and living in that. And so I always try to offer that content warning for folks who may find that triggering or troubling, to just take care with our interview, but also with reading the book. And so Naya, with the help of her friends, realizes she's been closed off. She's in this space where she's not really happy. And so in typical type A fashion, makes a to-do list to get a life and moves forward. And one of these first things is to flirt with a guy at a bar and to have a one-night stand and do a few other things around romance. And she has some spectacular flirting fails. But the one-night stand is sort of a fail too. But along that process meets Jake. And in the end, she ends up flirting with love. And I don't think it's too much of a spoiler since it's a romance novel to say that works out pretty well. So along the way, she's really, flirting with him, but she's also flirting with herself and the possibilities of what things could be. She's flirting with a little bit of career ruin, and then flirting with a little bit of career success, and ultimately, flirting with falling in love. And so that's a little bit about her journey. And I love her voice and her story, and I hope that there's so many things that relate to different readers.
Well, your book is a romance, and also it doesn't exactly. It still has fun. It's still funny, but there are some serious topics that are included in your story. Tell us about why that was important for you as an author to incorporate that into this romance.
Sure. I think as a reader, I like reading books with heavier topics, with sort of real world topics in them where you still get the happily ever after. And that was really important to me, to show this character who has gone through a lot, who is going through a lot, who is healing, who is dealing with trauma, who can still have a happily ever after, because
it's important.
So many people that we know, so many people that we love, sometimes ourselves, are going through that same thing. And I think it's lovely, this idea that you don't have to feel whole. You don't have to feel put together to have love, and that you can still have good friends and good jokes and good sex. I think it's good sex. And be healing. And that, those, we can contain multitudes. But also it was really important for me, and you see this in the heroine's journey specifically, that the love and the friends and the laughter and the great sex don't ameliorate trauma either. And so that containing multitudes is that, these two things can exist. And it's great to be with somebody who supports you as you do the healing you need to do. And that's ultimately what the heroine finds in the journey that she goes on. The other piece to that is it was really important for me to humanize people in academia. I've worked at universities for 15 years, and over the last however many years, there's a lot of vitriol about what universities are and what they do and who professors are and what their goal is. And this doesn't really touch on the politics of that, but really just shows that professors, like anybody else, are real people. Earning a PhD does not give you like cool points or strategic points, or definitely not flirting points. And so you see this professor who does important research and who lives in this world of the university and cares about her students and her work, but is also dealing with all of these other things like so many real professors are, especially professors who are women of color.
Absolutely. Now, tell us about Jake. Every time I read a romance and I'm enjoying the book, I am always in full crush on the male hero. So tell me your take on Jake.
I love Jake, and candidly, my husband knows if he ever takes on corporeal form, we're going to have to talk about the state of our marriage, because Jake Jake is lovely, and this cinnamon roll character, and it was really, I really never thought about writing him any different way, because Naya would not be attracted to, not fall for somebody who had alpha tendencies. Like, people love alpha heroes, that's great, I love them sometimes, but for this character, she really needs to have that person who is kind of the opposite of arrogant, who's comfortable with his shortcomings being out there, who can be flexible and is patient and kind. And that is what she sort of needs to start figuring out, that she can trust somebody again. But Jake, I describe in the book as a hot nerd, and I think he's the compilation of my husband and everything I've loved about people I've dated in my life that have this sort of nerdy qualities. He's not good at sports. He doesn't like Star Wars. That's me. He's never seen Star Wars. So yeah, like those are all the things for me that came together with Jake, and that I just really wanted to create somebody that would be a good and interesting and fun person, very crush worthy, book boyfriend worthy, but also for Naya would be somebody who could inspire trust, and be somebody who would care for her at different stages in the story.
And tell me a little bit about just off the top of your head, the tropes that really made this book work for you. Give me two of the tropes. I don't care. Just tell me all of them.
Gosh, I never thought of it as insta love, but many people have said that, and I think it could be seen as that. They're very taken with each other from the get-go. And actually, what I think that makes a lot of sense, because for Naya, she's never been in love before. She's been in relationships, but love and infatuation. And I think similarly for Jake. And so they sort of have that instant love that you see, I think, in teenagers or people in their early 20s, when it's that like first love. But even though they're in their 30s, for them, it's still that, wow, this is the first person who sees me, who gets me. And it's that kind of imprinting. So I think that trope works. I don't usually write that. I don't even usually read that. But I do think that attraction for them is there initially, and then it grows to something deeper. So I think that trope is definitely there.
Okay. Well, let's move into talking a little bit about the debut author experience. It seems, I know I'm sort of in the lane right now, moving along, even though my book doesn't come out until March. But you've been revving up for this for months and months, and that's just after the book has been handed in the last times, to your editors, and everybody's going to print for your arcs and getting the stuff out there. How is it feeling these days? What are you, just tell me a little bit about, how it's been going as a debut author.
Yeah. I would say that I'm oscillating wildly between the like head exploding emoji and the heart eyes emoji and the I'm gonna be sick emoji. Pretty consistently. I get a pretty general cycle. And so my book sold about 18 months ago, and it was so that's been a long time coming. I've been really active with like our 2020 debuts group from the beginning. And so I've gotten to see kind of all of these people go through it. And so at this point, it just feels like I've been waiting forever. And so it's very surreal. And for me, I think the favorite part, I stopped reading reviews a long time ago. I was that person who read all of them until I saw a -1, and I could still like quote it to you. And I'm like, nope, not doing that anymore, not reading reviews anymore. But the people who tag me in something, or who just, slide into my DMs to tell me, I love this about the book, or this is why it was meaningful to me or spoke to me, has been hands down the coolest thing about this process, is connecting with readers and reviewers and even other authors, and just talking about how my words impact them has been kind of a culminating thing for debuting. I mean, the book will come out and I would like people to buy it. That would be
of course. There's that.
But hearing from readers has just been amazing, and that idea that Berkeley has the hashtag books connect us that they've been using, and it really is so true that we can find so much common ground around books and stories and what it's giving us in kind of this time and any time. So that has been exciting. I'd say the other amazing thing about this process, and it's the heart eyes emoji usually, is getting to know so many other debut authors, like getting to know you and the other folks who are our author of color group,
Yes.
and just so many other people who are in the same journey who I know I can talk to and say, hey, I'm freaking out about this. And they'll say, it's fine. That's normal. Publishing is slow. That's almost always the advice.
That's
Um,
the comeback line. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening in romance. So, what's your take on what's going on these days with everything that seems to be popping off with romance?
I mean, if there is something new popping off, I feel like every 5 minutes in romance landia. I can't even keep up with all of it. But as we are recording this, the Romancing the Runoff auction is closing today.
Romancing the
And
Runoff
the amount of funds that have been raised to get people out to vote, specifically in Georgia, but just in general, is phenomenal. It's over $300,000, and that's been in just a couple of weeks. And there is so much power in romance authors and in these purposeful, creative people. And I think it speaks so much to the power in our community, but it challenges so much all these long-held narratives about romance and what it is and who writes it and what its purpose is, and looking at how much romance authors and romance stories can kind of change the world, literally, and change things for individuals on that sort of granular, individual, nuanced level, but in broader ways too.
What's your TBR list looking like these days? I mean, it's so hard being in the debut author, channel. It's like there are all these books you want to read. How's your TBR list looking?
And I'm one of those people who I'm like, yes, I'm buying your book. I'm so excited. I pre-ordered it. Get to it in probably June to read.
Right.
Yeah, my TBR is deep. Right now, I do have a couple of advanced reader copies arcs that I am getting through. Alyssa Cole's, I'm almost done with that. Her new one comes out same day as How to Fail at Flirting, How to Catch a Queen. So we've got a little how-to series on December 1.
Oh, great.
But oh gosh, my TBR, I would say it's high, but it's all on my Kindle. So it's just taking up all of my memory. And I could go through some of those, specifically, but I collect books. I want to have them. I never want to run out of books. And so then, I end up just kind of bouncing around. And then I dropped everything because I'm always listening to an audiobook too, because I got a preview of my own audiobook. And so January Lavoie is the narrator, who I love. She did such a wonderful job, but it was so important to me that the narrator be a woman of color. She's also an academic. And so there was just so much like connection there for me, and just did a beautiful job.
Tell me, are you working on another book now?
Yeah, so my second book, The Fastest Way to Fall, will come out fall 2021. Fall 2021. And actually in the printed copy of How to Fail at Flirting, you get an early, we've changed it a little since then, but early sneak peek into that with the first chapter. And for those who have read How to Fail at Flirting, the personal trainer, self-defense coach, Wes, is the hero in the second book. And it's about a journalist who is reviewing his body positive fitness app that he has started. So that for me is very much an own voices story in a lot of ways. And I just love it. And I'm really excited for that one to come out. That one's pretty much done. It's in editing right now. And then I'm playing with a couple others. I love Enemies to Lovers, and so I am writing one. I call it an Enemies with Benefits story. And so more information coming soon, hopefully, about that one. But that has been a lot of fun to play with Enemies to Lovers, because that's my catnip. That's the trope I just love.
So that you can see that fabulous cover, fabulous title, How to Fail at Flirting, and that's Denise Williams.